So first, tell me about this roundtable with the vice president today. What's the discussion?
The discussion is a convening of legislators, Latina legislators from all across the country to talk about the Dobbs decision and how it's impacting our communities in our home states, share with the vice president what the experience is of our constituents, and discuss potential solutions, be creative in our conversation about finding solutions to protect the rights of women and to protect the rights of Americans.
So what are the stories that you're bringing to the vice president as part of that?
Well, how onerous the Texas anti-abortion ban is on Texas women. Remember, it makes no exception for rape or incest. We have already learned of an 11-year-old girl who had to flee the state, had to flee her home to access an abortion out of state. We know it doesn't provide for an exception for a fetus that is not viable, a fetus that will not live. And so the extreme nature of the measure has put lots of Texans in jeopardy. And in Austin, for example, Texans have to travel over 500 miles to access the nearest abortion clinic in Kansas, of all places. So just communicating to the vice president how dire things are in Texas and how we are very eager, desperate for solutions that we can find amongst our federal partners, the administration, and our state partners.
Do you think that the vote in Kansas this past week is a potential solution?
Well, I think the vote in Kansas demonstrates that Americans of all stripes, conservative, all types of Americans, reject this kind of government mandate over our bodies and our families and decisions about healthcare. And so it is my belief that we will see more repercussions of these extreme laws at the ballot box and in November in Texas.
Now, you also kind of talked about how the federal government kind of will play a role in this and the partnership there. I wanted to bring up, we heard this week, both from the governor kind of blaming the federal government and the Biden administration about the postpartum Medicaid waiver, but we've also seen state Democrats kind of point the finger at Governor Abbott. So have you had any conversations about that yet? Have you kind of been seeking that partnership that you talked about when it comes to the postpartum Medicaid waiver?
Well, through the agency in Texas, HHSC in Texas, we have been in communications with the administration seeking that waiver. But let's be clear that we have a responsibility in Texas to take care of our own. We attempted to pass 1-year postpartum care for Texas women who gave birth. That did not pass, and it was cut back to 6 months. And so we are a state with vast resources. We don't put our money where our mouth is when it comes to protecting our kids, protecting our families, and we need to do more in Texas to invest our budget into making the lives of Texans better.
And I had one more thing here. Going into next year's legislative session, what do you anticipate from state Democrats in this fight for abortion rights?
Well, I think the best we can do is point out all the ways that these extreme laws hurt Texans. When the people know what's happening in their capital, they call their legislators and let them know what is and what is not acceptable. So we will continue to shine a light on bad legislation to advance legislation that protects families and protects the health of Texas mothers. And that is work that we have done in prior sessions, and that will not change. We will just fight with more vigor this session, given the stakes.
And one last thing, Have you had any one-on-one conversations with Vice President Harris about all this, as opposed to just the roundtable?
No, I have not had the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with the vice president yet.
If you could, what would you talk about in regards to reproductive rights and what she can do at the federal level to help you and help your mission and help the people of Texas?
Well, I would thank her for her advocacy so far. She has long been a champion of women's reproductive rights, women's health care, and maternal health care. But I would also urge her to understand how desperate Texans are, how dire things are for Texas women, for Texas families, and that we need whatever help the federal government can give at this point. Women will die, people will die because of the extreme nature of the laws in Texas. And we need our federal government to stand with Texas women, to stand with Texas families and help protect us.